This is every book I've ever read. Now, to give you some context, I hate reading. Well, I hated reading. I thought books were so boring and just so pointless. Why not just watch TV, bro? But many years ago, I decided, hey, why not try reading? Like, actually reading, not a stupid book that you get from school and you have to read it. Like an actual book. I read my first book, and it opened up a new world of entertainment. I've now read a ton of books, and each in completely different genres. And today, I'm going to be giving a review of every book I've ever read. Without further ado, let's get into the reviews. Oh, and spoilers, obviously. Press start. This book is from one of the GOATs of YouTube, DanTDM. If you don't know who DanTDM is, you're not a real person. DanTDM was my GOAT. I watched every video. So, naturally, when he released a book, I had to get it. I'm not joking when I say I read this book every night for a whole month. I remember how much I hated Denton, bro. I hated Denton. Before I realized that this book was, not real, I really wanted the crystal that let you talk to pigs, bro. The story is he gets trapped. He finds this crystal. He has to replace the crystal and, put the crystal together to, stop and, win. It's good. I thought it was good. It's the greatest book I've ever read. All the books that I'm going to be talking about after this are not as good as this one. So, Diary of a Wimpy Kid was the first real book I ever read. When I say real book, I mean it wasn't speech bubbles. It was actual pages. Funny story, I actually read Diary of a Wimpy Kid 10 before any other book, and I was so confused about what this pig was doing. I read every single Diary of a Wimpy Kid book, so obviously I'm not going to go over every single story, but I am going to give a review of the list in order of worst to best. In middle school during COVID, I joined the book club. And this was one of the books that they assigned to us. This book is about poverty and the author's real life as a kid growing up in poverty. This book was actually crazy to me because, one, they say bad words in it. And two, this is the first book that I read that wasn't really a kid's book. Diary of a Wimpy Kid going to this. It's before I tell you the plot, just remember that the only books I've read up to this point are about pigs and talking crystals and this kid who's a little bit wimpy. The story is about a kid who gets bullied at school for being poor. Self-conscious about being poor, and his insecurities with all that are throughout the whole book. The book is also about his trauma with his parents, his stepdad, and his mom emotionally and physically abusing him. And he gets so angry at, the world and his life that he wants to, hurt others. Maybe even, permanently hurt others. This book is very good. I wouldn't say it's my favorite book, mostly because at times it made me uncomfortable. But that book made me realize that many kids have to go through, that situation. And I honestly think that if you're the type of person who complains about, stupid stuff like working one day a week, I think your life is so difficult for having to do some dishes,
then you should probably give this book a read. Also,
the book can be funny at times. It's not all blah, da, 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 da. These books are the pinnacle of comedy. I read this book in this video, and I one time read one of the books in a car ride for an hour, and it was the best time I've ever had. This book has to be one of the most suspenseful and most intense books I've ever read. This book starts with these two dudes and this girl on vacation together. And The Rock and these three others, they pop in and they're like, yo, we need to talk. They break into the house, they tie the family up, and they tell them that they all are having this same vision. Like, all four of the dudes, they have the same vision, right? They have the same vision. Where if the family doesn't choose one of their own to be murdered, the whole world would go into an apocalypse. And each day, the family decides, I'm probably, not gonna kill my daughter for you guys. The four people, they, it's like a timer, day 0, there's all 4 of them, and then day 1, there's 3 of them, day 2, there's 2 of them, because imagine, I'm the family, right? Yo, I'm not gonna kill my daughter for you guys, okay? Bah, bah, bah! And once the timer ends, the world ends. If I could describe this book in one word, it would be manipulation. Like, this book, I can't explain it. Even though these 4 dudes are crazy and very shady and untrustworthy, I'll explain later, you kind of start to believe them that the world would end if the family doesn't choose one of their own to, die. There is a movie adapted from this book, and in the movie, the ending, it's almost 100% confirmed that this cult is actually telling the truth. But in the book, it's very open-ended. Like, you don't know who to believe. It's up to the reader's interpretation in the book, which is why I think the book is better. Open-ended about what the truth is. That this is one of the most suspenseful endings of a book I've ever read. Final day before the supposed apocalypse happens, the family finally makes it out. Not including the daughter who got shot in the face, but apparently it didn't count. Okay, so this one person in the cult finally is like, this is crazy and the cult is not real, I'll help you guys escape. She helps them escape, and then she's like,
actually, it is real. I'm gonna give you the gun. You have to do the kaboom. You have to boom to save the world, bruh.
The dude, he's like, and the other guy's like, no, we'll wait it out. Final lines being, the wind and thunder rattles through the forest, surrounding like the earth's dying, screaming. But we've been through countless other storms. Maybe this one is different. Maybe it isn't. I have to say, when I looked up YouTube videos about the book, people hated the ending. I love the ending. I like that it was up to the reader's interpretation. I believe happened my, Boy Bob's ending to The Cabin at the End of the Woods. They all get into their car, and then the world black hole just I love The Walking Dead. It is top 3 shows of all time. One day, I was chilling in my room when my brother Malik walked in. He's like,
dude, I found the Walking Dead comics just in a box.
And I was on my bed and I was like, The Walking Dead's based off comics? Well, they are based on comics, and I read all of them, all 4 compendiums. Now, you may be asking, well, which one's better, the show or the comics? I have to say, since I've seen the full show twice and read the comics once, I can fully, 100% safely say that you cannot compare the two because they are 2 completely different stories. For example, I'm going to recap the prison fight from the TV show Season 4 and from the end of the first compendium. This is going to truly show how completely separate these 2 pieces of Walking Dead media really are. Let's first start with the show. The prison fight. The attack on the prison begins with Herschel and Michonne being kidnapped by the governor, and the governor starts to rally his troops with his charisma. Then cuts to Maggie and Glenn talking after the whole sickness that ran through the prison, and killed many of their, people. It then cuts to Rick and Daryl trying to confess to Tyrese that Carol killed his girlfriend. When all of a sudden, the prison shakes from an explosion. Rick walks out and then gives a speech to the governor about how they can all live together and they can work out a deal. Maybe they live in different sections of the prison until they come to an understanding of one another. Then cuts to the governor's new daughter getting bitten. And it cuts back to the governor with a katana on Herschel's neck. Rick tries to tell him that they aren't too far gone, and then takes a swing at my goat Herschel. And then the gunfire starts. Both Rick and governor get shot, and then the governor sees his dead daughter and orders the tank to run through the gates. Everyone else runs towards the bus. Rick starts a fight with the governor. Daryl uses a walker as a shield and then blows up the tank because he's the goat. To save Tyrese, and Rick and the governor are fighting, and Rick is almost beaten, dead. But then Michonne, katanas the governor and, kills him. Rick and Carl find each other, and they go inside the prison, and they see a bloody baby carriage. But Judith is actually just with Tyrese, so she's not really dead. Like, no one really died in the prison fight. Then the governor's girlfriend shoots the governor, and then the governor's dead. It cuts to Rick and Carl on a hill, and Rick tells Carl to not look back. Okay, that's one of my favorite episodes. Let's see how it's different in the comics. The prison fight begins with everyone dealing with the aftermath of Carol's decision. Sophia is in shock. Lori and Patricia are talking about what movie they want to see, and Dale is learning how to walk without his leg. Andrea is helping him. Rick talks to Herschel about how great the crops are doing, when all of a sudden, Herschel looks over and he sees the governor's army. There's then a governor backstory of him just healing from his injuries and rallying of his troops. It then cuts back to the governor's army riding in from the field. His army kills all the walkers at the fence, and Rick tells Andrea to get a rifle ready while he goes finds Lori. Lori tells Rick that the kids are with Patricia. He tells her to hide while he looks for Carl and Sophia. It then cuts to Dale, Glenn, and Maggie on the ground. The governor says that he can make a deal, but no one answers, so the governor just continues firing. Andrea was so close to getting a headshot, but his helmet was in the way. By the way, Andrea in the comics is literally the GOAT. Andrea just starts picking up everyone from the army, and then she gets shot in the face. Then the governor ceases fire because there's not enough ammo. Herschel's son Billy then suggests they run, and Michonne suggests that she sacrifices herself to kill a bunch. But before they can even get a plan ready, the governor just starts shooting, and everyone makes it inside except for Glenn, who by the way is bald, and this prison dude. Glenn and that prison dude were about to die when all of a sudden, Andrea just gets up and kills like 10 of them. Andrea single-handedly makes the governor retreat. And that gives everyone time to gather their thoughts and plans. It then shows that Rick was shot and the doctor goes to save him, as well as Andrea and Axel, the prison dude. Dale tells Andrea, yo, you want to just leave everyone behind and go? Tyrese and Michonne realize that the governor will come back, and they go on a duo solo mission to weaken the army even more. Glenn and Maggie take Dale's offer to leave in one of the RVs, and they just say goodbye to everyone, including Herschel and Billy. Michonne and Tyrese kill 3 dudes on their solo mission and then get kidnapped. Rick wakes up and everyone is happy, and then he realizes that Andrea, Glenn, Maggie, Dale, the twins, and Sophia just left, and Michonne and Tyrese went on a solo mission and are probably dead. Rick realizes that they probably will not win, but they continue fighting for the prison anyways. It then cuts to this kingpin looking guy saying that he just shot Michonne and kept Tyrese alive as leverage. It then cuts to Rick talking to Carl, and he talks about that, they shouldn't be scared, and then he gives him a gun. Everyone is chilling until a truck arrives. The governor then gets Tyrese with Michonne's sword, and he demands to just be let in. Also, earlier in the comics, Tyrese and Rick They used to be like best friends, but then they had a fight right before this. So this is what like kind of leads into Rick's decision here, where Rick just says like, whatever happens, happens. You can do whatever you want to Tyrese. We don't care. So then the governor takes a swing at my goat Tyrese. Actually, like multiple swings. The governor then retreats to his army, and he just tells them to just break down the fences. They'll rebuild them later. When all of a sudden, Michonne comes out of nowhere and holds the governor hostage. She almost kills him, but then she has to run to like escape and alive. Rick still thinks that he can kill the governor's army, but he doesn't realize that they're just gonna take down the fences. The governor starts shooting at them, and the prison dude Axel is dead. Billy starts throwing grenades, but then all of a sudden, my goat Andrea comes back out of nowhere and just starts sniping the army. Kills like 5 of them. The governor then runs a truck into the RV and Andrea is knocked off of it. Finally, the tank just runs through the fence. Rick runs in to find Lori and Carl and Judith to just get out of the prison. They're just gonna run. They're just gonna retreat. He finds them, and then the doctor tells them that they're just gonna run. It cuts to Patricia getting shot next to Billy. Herschel grabs Billy's arm to run. And then he looks back, and then his son is just, dead. Rick yells at Herschel, like, yo, we're gonna get on the bus, let's go. And then Herschel's like, bruh, I just lost my whole family, leave me. Rick, Lori, Carl, and Judith start running for the gate. And then Lori is shot with Judith. Lori then falls on top of Judith, ending the mouth. Rick looks back, and he's like, bro. And then he just continues running. It then cuts to the governor, ending Herschel. The governor's army realizes that, what the governor said about the prison people being savages and, like, crazy were all wrong, and the army just turns on the governor, and they, kill him. It cuts to Rick and Carl on a hill, and Rick tells Carl that his mom and sister are gone.
See, you can't really compare the two. Yes, the same main events happened, but it's the little things that count. And there's a lot of little things that are different from the show and the comics. I can talk about The Walking Dead and the comics for hours. Like, if you want to see a video about me just talking about The Walking Dead and maybe it's comics and like how they're different, ask for it or whatever, I got this book because I saw Goodfellas, and then I found out it was based off of a book, and when I went to actually find it, the guy was like, we don't have Goodfellas, but if you want something like, mob or like mafia kind of thing, then this is a book for you. And I was like, okay, I'll go. At the time, I was a big fan of the mob stuff, like Godfather, Casino, Goodfellas. I decided to read this 500-page book because I like the mob stuff so much. Did I enjoy the book? Okay, it had a really strong first half, but after like page 260, it becomes a completely different story that I wasn't too much of a fan of. You can tell exactly what the book is about. It's literally like, it is like not confirmed, but like I'm pretty sure it is. The author of the book, Mario Puzo, is the same guy who made The Godfather, and this book is like, well, it's about this dude Merlin, but it's basically just Mario Puzo who's like, this Merlin wrote a book, and then he made it into a movie. It's just his life, basically. First half is about this dude named Merlin who goes to a casino with his 2 friends, and then one of his friends, ends it all after winning 400k, and Merlin's like, bro, why did you do that? Why did you do that? Why did you do that? You just won 400k? Why did you do that? Why did you do that? Then the first half of the book, Merlin spent the rest of it just, writing a book and then doing a little bit of money laundering on the side. It's pretty entertaining. He talks about his morals and how he hates to do this, but he loves his family. He loves his wife and his kids, and he would never betray them. The second half, he literally goes out of nowhere into the movie business and then betrays his family and cheats on his wife. And then the next 200 pages are about the people he meets in the movie business. And it's like, oh my god, and all these backstories at the end of the book. Why are we getting backstories at the end of the book? Why are we getting backstories at the end of the book? At the end of the book, Merlin realizes why Jordan, the guy who, ended it all after winning 400k, he realizes why he did it. But Merlin says he won't do it himself because Only fools die. Oh my god, it's the name of the book! It's the name of the book! The book was okay, it hooked me from the beginning, then after like the last 200 it kind of goes nowhere, and then I didn't really see any focus or direction. It was just kind of just like a fiction version of Mario's experience with the Godfather. I mean, I would recommend it. Shawshank Redemption is the best movie I've ever seen. And when I found out it started as a book, I was hype. Until I realized that when I bought the book, it's only like 100 pages. It was really good, but I'll say if you've seen the movie, you don't have to buy this for like $12. But there is a scene from the book that's not in the movie. So spoilers for the book, but this whole video spoilers. After our main guy, what's his name? After Andy escapes the prison, these two police guards, they go through the tunnel that he went in, and they like smell a bunch of poop because Andy had to like break like a poop line and then crawl through poop to get out. So these prison guards, they walk into the poop gas, and they're like, funny, but you spend, well, let's say for the movie's sake, you spend like 2 hours with this Andy guy, really hoping he gets out, and then you have to watch like 10 minutes of these prison guards like throwing up that poop. I get why they cut it from the movie. It's a funny little scene in the book. So I got this because my brother Ducky told me, bro,
this book is exactly like Invincible.
So I got the book, and even though I've only seen the book's first book, I'll say, 1, it's not like Invincible, and 2, it's pretty good. It has a good plot. It's about this training center, and it's like, it kind of looks like this, actually. It kind of looks like this. Imagine like this, but like soccer. Bring these 300 dudes who play soccer, but there can only be one winner. So then this guy in the beginning of the book, he's like, I'm gonna be the winner. I mean, I'm excited to read the rest. This book I read because school made me, and I have to say, it's good. I can actually understand it, unlike some books, but I found the main character to be kind of whiny. Most of the situation he gets himself into, he did on his own. The whole thing at the hotel was entirely his fault. The plot of Catcher in the Rye is this dude going to situations and hating the world and he's being so judgy, Everyone's a phony, everyone's fake. That's a really big point. Everyone's fake. At the end, he sees his little sister ride a carousel and starts crying, and then he gets help with his depression or whatever. It was the best book I've read in school, but that's not saying much. Okay. Any Corey X Kenshin fan that's watching this video, please just hear me out. Corey is my goat. I watched almost all of his videos. Nah, I haven't watched almost all of his videos. I'm sorry. I've watched like a lot though. And I found the book to be just okay. The premise is really interesting. I love the character, and the plot's good so far. I've only read the first one. The plot of the first one is this dude who goes to a city, and everyone thinks the city's awesome, but the city's hiding a dark secret. The school that he goes to, that's actually so awesome, had a dark secret. That they fight monsters and stuff, it's a dark secret. The plot's good, the premise is good, the characters are good. What I did not like about it? The fight scenes. I thought that the fight scenes, which is, most of the first book, were a little bit too confusing to follow through with. Having to go back to see which character was fighting what, and it was actually this character. And it was it was confusing. It's just, that might just be me. I've never really read this type of book, but my theory on why these fight scenes are like this for me is because I remember Corey saying this.
I've been making up original fight choreographies in my head since I was a child.
And because of that, I don't think he saw a problem with it because, apparently he's been thinking about these fight scenes for years. He's been coming up with these for years. He's had them in his head for years. So when he portrayed it to the page, it was kind of like, okay, I've seen this for years. I understand it. I might just be an idiot. I might be an idiot. I do want to get the future installments. I just hope that, Corey listens to me and dumb it down for me. This book is about the Green Arrow finding out that his dad is not only alive, but, you know, try to go to this, like, island to, like, find, like, these, like, medallion. I think it's been a while since I've read it. Find this medallion. There's all these clans. There's the punching clan. There's the sword clan. There's the arrow clan, which is like the Green Arrow guy, you know. I thought the book was really good, but I can't explain it. You have to read it because it's not confusing, it's complicated. I would say if you're gonna read this book, you have to know the story of Green Arrow first, or else you'll be confused. Also, spoilers. If you want the book, it's pretty good, but spoilers right now. He spends the whole time trying to fight the clan of the fighting styles, like the sword, the bow. And, like, at the very end of the book, like, the very end, he's like, okay, I'll join you guys. So, if you want to get the book, just know that it's not really a finished story. This book series, in my opinion, is so good. I'm not gonna recap all of the Invincible comics in this video. If you want to see that video, I'm open to it. I'm open to it. Do have some thoughts, which I will tell you now. First and foremost, I think the TV show Invincible is better. Whoa, everyone chill. However, okay. The Invincible comics are probably the best book I've ever read, okay? I just like the show better. For one, the show is pretty faithful to the comics, so it's not like a Walking Dead thing where it's like two completely different stories and you can just choose which story you like better. It's kind of like comic, same story, TV show, same story, but TV show fight scenes are like real. So that's why I like the show better. Things that are way different from the comics than the TV show is Oliver. Oliver in the comics is so weird. Oliver in the comics is portrayed as an intelligent, higher status, all-knowing being. Like, when he killed the Mahler twins in the comics, it was because he had no empathy for the humans. And in his opinion, he only cared for the humans because Mark said he should. For him, it's like a,
Okay, fine, I won't kill the humans, and I'll try to care for them, even though human life is pointless.
the show, it's more of like a clueless, unknowing, non-understanding of human life and empathy. Not a, like a,
I don't feel anything for these strange humans that...
It's a, I didn't know you're supposed to literally fly through someone. So I like Oliver in the show better. No spoilers, but I will say that I've read what Season 4 is going to be. Season 4 is going to be the best season so far. This book is two separate stories clumped into one book. First, it's the Even Rex backstory, which is pretty good. The Guardians of the Globe thing is kind of boring. My favorite one is this British guy, and also Chupacabra, who's an alcoholic. The story is just the recruitment of like 20 new superheroes. They don't get too much backstory. It's just kind of like fights. Look, you like Invincible, you don't need it. It doesn't really have Invincible in it. It has Cecil in it though, so. Jacket is my absolute GOAT. Season 4 isn't even out yet, and I'm telling you right now, he's gonna be my favorite of Season 4. His story begins when he sees a ship crash down onto Earth. He touches the alien, and its armor attaches to him. He then, he gets kidnapped and fight in a war. Then he comes back, fights the evil guy, then fights not one, but two Invincible gangs on his own and wins. Tech Jacket is my GOAT. The story gets weird when him and his girlfriend and then this other, alien dude, they become God, which is it was really confusing to read, but at the end it all kind of comes together and it makes sense. Get this, it's pretty good. This is something I've been thinking of for a long time. This is the scale of superhero realism. Based on how realistic a superhero show is. Over here, it's not really realistic. Like a Marvel kind of thing. I don't mean realism as in super power realistic. telekinesis isn't realistic, so over here. It's more like a human empathy realistic. Like in Marvel, everyone is just like, oh my god, we're awesome. In the middle of this thing, it's kind of like, it's realistic. Like humans, sometimes get a little bit selfish. Over here on the scale, this is where it gets so realistic, it gets unrealistic. I would put the Watchmen right here. Perfectly realistic. I'm gonna go over a few characters from the Watchmen and his DC counterpart to show what I mean. A realistic Superman would probably not care for humans.
It's like the Oliver thing, but they did it way better in The Watchmen.
A realistic Batman would probably be a psychopath. Realistic, okay, you get the point. Now, the story of the book is very interesting. The whole book, superheroes are just dying out of nowhere. Oh my god, who's killing these superheroes? The Batman guy, who by the way is, I think, my favorite character. He's kind of psycho, like kind of weird though. The message of the book, I think, is very interesting. This one dude who's basically like, if the Batman get power, he's really powerful inside. He stops this alien on New York. This book takes place in the Cold War, so you really feel the tension, you really feel the uncertainty, you really feel the You feel the dread of nuclear war just hanging over everybody's head throughout the whole book. Then, this one dude, Superman, he just brings an alien, kaboom, into New York. Millions dead. But it ends the Cold War. A bunch of countries they just come together. They're like, okay, we're gonna stop fighting. We're gonna help America with its stuff. We're all gonna come together. So it's like, was he right? Like, what? I would highly recommend this book. Really good. Throughout the whole video, I've talked mostly positive. That end here, I hate the Scarlet Letter. I genuinely, fully, 1000% believe that if I didn't read this book, my life would be better. I had to read it for school. This is a story of a girl who has a kid, not with her husband, and the moral of the story is that people should stop being judgmental, and everyone has skeletons in their closet, so why should you judge others for theirs? I agree with that message. What I don't agree with about is Old English. I hate Old English. I don't understand it. It's like reading a different language. Imagine having to read a language that you don't know for 250 pages and then have to take a test on. You might like the book if you're not stupid like me. I didn't understand it. I can't understand Old English. To prove what I need, I'm right now am going to read the first chapter of Scarlet Letter. It's only one page. I wanna let you know if you understand what even happened in the first page.
Okay, welcome to the try not to click off the video challenge.
Bearded men in sad-colored garments and gray stapled colored hats, intermixed with women, some wearing hoods, others bareheaded, and some in front of the wooden edifice, the door of which is heavily limbered in the oak. Started with the arms like the founders of the new colony, whatever utopia of human virtue and happiness they might originally project and have involuntarily recognized it among their earliest practical necessities. To allot a portion of the virgin soil as a cemetery, another portion as the site of the prison. In accordance with this rule, and may safely, he assumed that his forefathers of Boston had built in the first prison house somewhere in the vicinity of...
I hate Old English. This book is full of Old English. It's so boring. It's extremely confusing. I'm glad I listened to the audiobook instead of attempting to read this, or else I would have failed my test. Honorable mentions. These are some books that I don't have a physical copy of, but I did read, and I just forgot everything about them, so I'm probably not going to have too much to talk about. The Odd Ones Out books 1 and 2, they're pretty good. They're just his videos, they're just his video scripts, just in book form, though. But it was pretty good. Eat the Cat, goated. Video Juegas, Spanish. This book I read in Spanish. It's the only Spanish book I've read, and it's the best Spanish book I've ever read. All the books I've read, I genuinely think, besides Scarlet Letter, books are a great source of entertainment. And they can fully compete with TV and movies. I genuinely think that I know some of you haven't read a book yet. Like, on your own. I want you to read a book. Genuinely. I think you won't hate it as much as you think. Okay, goodbye.